Welcome to Civ6 Stories, where we explore alternatives to history through the lens of the world's most addictive video game. Games are played on deity, no challenges. Generally, I don't use mods or game modes except for Sucrotax Oceans. A great game is epic and tells a story. It has a history, all condensed down into 20 minutes. Along the way, you can learn tips and tricks on how to be a better Civ player, as well as strategies on how to play specific civilizations. Today, we're looking at the game I played as Gorgo of Greece. A quick note about this game. I don't usually use mods or game modes, but these days I've been looking for new challenges and realized I have never actually tried the Tech and Civics Shuffle mode, so that is on for this game. In 4000 BC, a small band of settlers who called themselves Greeks found a cozy spot surrounded by mountains, with rich amber and banana resources nearby, and decided that this was as far as they would wander. They named their village Sparta. They lived calm and peacefully, but within a few centuries, they had met foreign tribes of strange peoples who called themselves Nubians and Aztecs. As centuries passed, they recorded meetings with more tribes, such as the Swedes and the English. The Swedes and the English did not like each other, and Greek scouts returned to tell tales about a battle by the village of Birmingham. Some centuries later, Greeks and Gauls made first contact with each other. Greek society began to flourish and the village of Sparta grew. Eventually, Greek settlers staked a claim on the far side of the mountain pass and founded the village of Argos. The war between the English and Swedish lasted for centuries, with the Swedish village of Jönköping being razed to the ground. The Swedes were a society bereft of culture and real leadership. When a Greek scouting party came upon a band of Swedish settlers, they decided to take them as slaves. It was those slaves who then founded the Greek village of Corinth. And not long after, Greeks and Brazilians made first contact with each other. Centuries later, the Greeks made contact with yet another distant tribe. These called themselves Khmer. Exploring further north, Greeks made contact with Arabia. After pushing through a barbarian horde in the north, Greeks founded a fourth settlement, the village of Knossos. Greece entered the classical era in a golden age. Because of their close borders, Greece wasn't surprised when Nubia declared a surprise war. Meanwhile, Brazil was advancing toward Greece's vassal city-state of Nagazargamu. Greece's military strategy against Nubia was sound, and like true Spartan warriors, they held the hot gates between the mountain passes and blocked the Nubian advance. After 200 years of intense fighting, Nubian forces began to retreat. Greece had surrendered their suzerainty over Ngazargamu, and Brazil promptly razed the city to the ground. By 1160 BC, Greek forces were advancing into Nubian territory and captured the city of Kerma. Greece could not sustain a war between Nubia and its vassal city-state Chinguetti, so a peace deal was brokered. Greece, along with so many of their neighbors, fell into a dark age during the medieval period. In 375 BC, Nubia and Gaul, needlessly aggressive toward the peaceful Greek nation, joined in an alliance against the Greeks to free the Nubian city of Kerma, which Greece felt it had rights to as payment for their unwarranted aggression centuries earlier. 50 years later, extending their borders to the northwest, Greeks founded the town of Olympia. In 275 BC, in order to free a path upon which to advance on the Nubians and Gauls, Greece declared war on Chinguetti, who was now allied with the Aztecs. 75 years later, the Greek army captured the city. Not surprisingly, because of Greece's dark age, they were unable to control it. In 200 AD, although Greece had lost control of Chinguetti, the disorder created by their temporary seizure of the city-state enabled them to capture the real prize, the Nubian city of Nuri. Greece now controlled the pyramids. In 450 AD, Greece and Gaul decided to end their war. But Greece, pulled into armed conflict by Nubia, did not show similar mercy to their adversary and, after laying waste to the countryside around the city of Meroe, they captured the Nubian capital. 620 AD, shortly after Nubia lost control of Qasr Ibrim, Greek troops captured the city of Kawa, forcing Nubia and its people to the back pages of history. In 740 AD, battle-hardened Greek troops captured Qasr Ibrim, meaning the whole of Nubia had now been absorbed into the Greek Empire, and their treachery undone forever. But Greece had now been set upon a military path. Slaves of Gaul, sheltering near Olympia for centuries, fearful of barbarians in the north, and still without a home of their own, finally ventured out beyond the safety of the city and founded the town of Pharsalus. To punish the Gauls for their role in aiding Nubia, Greece resumed its war against them at the dawn of the 9th century. After intense fighting around Noviodonum, Greek forces captured the city in 960. 20 years later, the Aztecs, still somewhat upset at the Greeks for seizing the city of Chinguetti, united with the Gauls in a war against Greece to free the city of Kawa. In 1030 AD, Greek forces captured one of the Gauls' cities whose name I dare not try to say, lest I be banned by YouTube. In 1050, to better secure their borders, Greece formed an alliance with England. 20 years later, in spite of their alliance, the former English desert city of Liverpool held a referendum and pledged their allegiance to the Greek Empire. 20 years later, the Swedish city of Göteborg did the same. In 1110, Greece's siege of Gaul's capital city, Edwarka, broke through as troops flooded into the city. The war between Greeks and Aztecs raged along the Balsas and Mareb rivers near Xochicalco and the former city-state of Chinguetti. In 1160, Greece's main northern army captured the city of Samarobriva, resigning the Gauls to the same fate as Nubia before them. Due in large part to their Renaissance-era conquest over the Nubians and Gauls, Greece entered the industrial era in a golden age. It was about 1190 AD that the world caught on that citizens of Stockholm were discontent with Swedish rule. Since ancient times, Swedes had been a backwater civilization that was now resigned to a footnote in history. In 1200 AD, Greece began to make contact with civilizations across the Great Ocean, beginning with Scotland, followed by China, Korea, and the Ottoman Empire. After 40 years sailing the coast of this new world, Greek sailors made contact with their warrior-like cousins, Macedon. They also met Indonesia. Continuing westward, they met Mongolia. And in 1260, Greek sailors became the first to circumnavigate the globe. 20 years later, obviously excited about the news, Sweden's former capital city, by independent referendum, joined the Greek Empire. After a century-long siege, Greek troops once again captured the city of Chinguetti. It had been a Greek target since ancient times and cut a gaping hole into the Aztec Empire. 10 years later, Greeks made their first contact with Canada. By 1400, the Greek advance into Aztec lands pushed through and captured Xochicalco. 50 years later, they captured Teayo by the Giant's Causeway. Greece entered the modern era having strung together a second consecutive golden age. The Greeks' invasion into Aztec lands continued. Malinalco mounted little resistance and fell to the Greeks in 1540. In 1550, Greeks made contact for the first time with Russia and the United States of America. In 1555, Greece, England, and Brazil entered into an alliance to curb the Khmer's aggression toward the people of Brazil and for their unsanctioned capture of the city of Recife. That year, Greek troops also took the city of Tenayuca, completing their conquest of the Aztecs, the last of the enemies to betray them in antiquity. By 1565, Greek scientists were receiving reports that the Scots had already begun to venture into space. 10 years later, Korea began their campaign to explore the far reaches of space as well. Military and loyalty pressure from the Khmer pushed the Brazilian people to extinction. When Greece captured the former Brazilian city of Porto Alegre, instead of liberating the Brazilian people, they incorporated the city into the Greek Empire. In 1645, Greeks captured Brazil's former capital city of Rio de Janeiro, putting further dents into the Khmer's military ambitions. In 1695, Greek forces liberated the city of Salvador de Bahia, ending the Khmer's reign of terror over the province of Brazil that was swiftly integrated into the Greek Empire. 25 years later, Greek troops made strides in their invasion of the Khmer homeland by capturing Angkor Wat. Greece entered the Atomic Era, having strung together its third consecutive golden age. Right away, in 1740, Greece continued its conquest of the Khmer by capturing the luminous city of Mahendraparvata and seizing control of the Colosseum, Ruhr Valley, and the Bolshoi Theater all at once. In 1775, Greece and the French made contact for the first time. In 1808, Greek scientists and engineers aiming to catch up scientifically to the Scots and Koreans launched the nation's first Earth satellite. The Greek Empire had grown so large and strong that they became greedy. They crossed the Iapetus Ocean and, looking to claim more land in the name of the Greek Empire, they declared a colonial war against the tiny coastal state of Indonesia in 1814. Badung was the first city to fall. Baris fell soon after. 6 years after the war began, Indonesia was no more and the Greeks had established a beachhead in the New World. The invasion of France began with the Greek capture of the city of Surabaya. The independent city-state of Brussels fell shortly after. With the Khmer almost completely wiped from the face of the earth, Brazil, lost to history for over 300 years, led an independence movement in the former city-state of Singapore and were reborn. In 1826, Greek troops stormed into the French capital. In 1828, the Greeks went to the moon. That same year, the Greeks completed their conquest of the Khmer by capturing the city of Priyavihar, ending the Khmer's military ambitions once and for all. But the world still had not caught on to the Greeks' own aspirations of total world domination, and in 1830, 2 military emergencies targeting them failed. Greece now felt they could start any war they wanted without reprisals, so they did, declaring war on both Macedon and Arabia that same year. Continuing their conquest of the Old World, the Greek invasion of Arabia began with their capture of the city of Damietta in 1832. After a while, Tegu, the last of the French-controlled cities, became independent and the French were no more. In 1842, Greece launched its Mars colony, and followed it up by exploiting the talents of Sergei Korolev and launching their exoplanet expedition that same year. When Greeks captured the Macedonian capital city of Pella in 1846, it removed Macedonian influence from the New World, resigning their now feeble civilization to a few minor cities scattered on islands in the ocean. Veteran Greek troops fighting across the ocean now turned their military campaign against Korea. Their invasion began by seizing the former Macedonian city of Pydna. Reserves in the north of the Old World captured Medina, completing their conquest of Arabia and adding it to the Greek Empire. Though the Brazilian civilization had been resurrected by their presence in the former city-state of Singapore, their re-emergence did not last long. Greek forces captured the city in 1852, and the fire of Brazilian independence was now extinguished for good. England was now Greece's lone adversary in the Old World, but the Greeks were the dominant force on the planet and wanted the whole of it for themselves, so they declared war on their ancient ally. Greece's invasion of Mongolia began with their capture of the former Macedonian coastal city of Alexandria in 1854. At the start of the information era, Greece was finally ready to take on Canada, the only nation prepared to mount any kind of challenge to Greece's global hegemony. In 1868, Greek death robots pushed through Canadian resistance and captured the Canadian capital city of Ottawa. Soon after, a Greek bomber flew across the Arctic and dropped a nuclear bomb on Toronto. It was devastation as the world had never seen. By the end of that year, the Greek army had also captured the Mongolian capital city of Xanadu, and every world leader appealed to the Greek people to end the war, but the Greeks were having none of it. When Bradford fell in 1874, it meant that England was no more and that the Greeks stood alone as masters of the Old World. In the New World, they plunged deeper into Canadian territory, capturing city after city. By 1876, the Greeks had thwarted Canada's efforts to colonize the far reaches of outer space. With the swelling of their massive empire, Greece had overtaken Scotland in their space race efforts. When Greek troops captured Gyeongju in 1882, it meant that the nation of Korea was no more. Their aspirations of colonizing space had ended, and all of its cities were now a part of the Greek Empire. There was no stopping Greece now. By then, the nations of America and Scotland had also been nuked by the Greeks in their unstoppable war machine. Greek troops continued to push east into the New World and began their invasion of Russia by capturing the city of Solikamsk. In a shocking twist of fate, I ended my session on turn 314 after building one last laser station, and, for some reason, there is no further recording. I was playing this game when I returned to Canada in late March, and bless the Hall of Fame, not sure why they don't have that in Civ 7. Here at least is the proof that Greece won the game, quite literally, that same turn. The tech shuffle was more fun than I thought. I had been afraid of it for a while, worried that having the option to research flight from turn 1 would be too weird and not much fun. But it's not at all like I thought. The tech trees are only somewhat reordered and all of the Eurekas are the same, so it's not much of a disruption to the flow of a regular game. In fact, it adds a certain amount of randomness, forcing players to adapt, just slightly, that I think is actually missing from most games. I think, if I'm honest, this one should have had the chance to be a standard game mode option alongside map sizes and difficulty. I always enjoy playing as Gorgo of Greece. I'm a Civ player who thrives from being at war, and Gorgo's bonuses offset penalties caused by war weariness and amenities issues, so I can play into my playstyle and not fall too far behind. This was a fun game, and I love how even after almost a decade playing this game, I'm still finding new and fun things to do with it. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep playing and making your own civilization stories, your own amazing path through history, and I'll see you next time.